Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Water Ambassador Program. This is our first webinar for 2026, and we're pleased that you're able to join us today. The Water Ambassador Program is a partnership program between Martin County and the University of Florida IFAS Extension and Florida Sea Grant. It's a stormwater education program designed to empower you to make informed decisions about water quality and stormwater management, um, as well as to let you know what's happening in Martin County in the greater Indian River Lagoon region about stormwater management and water quality improvement projects. Um, for those of you who are in Martin County, if you see something, say something. This is a link to the request for service in Martin County. If you see any illicit discharges, you can let them know. Or you have a direct number in which you can call anything suspicious. We are really excited. We've got a great lineup for you. We're working on filling out the whole season of webinars. But to start us off, Vincent is going to be giving us our first presentation today on estuary-friendly living. In February, this was based on a request from you all wanting to know more about the environmental impacts of artificial turf. So we reached out to our colleagues at UF IFAS and they responded. So we're going to have two specialists talk to us about the ecosystem impacts of artificial turf. In March, we have Kathy Hill with the Indian River Lagoon National Estuary Preserve going to be talking about their latest hot off the press economic valuation study of the Indian River Lagoon. We're really excited about that project. And then in April, one of our Florida Sea Grant colleagues is going to be talking about a project that they've been doing in the Big Bend region, trash reduction for aquatic preserves and potential opportunities for bringing it here into the Treasure Coast region. So we will be putting the registration links for all of those webinars in the chat. And just a reminder, all of our webinars are recorded and are available on the Martin County Extension YouTube page. You can also see all of our past webinars. They are available by year. And just a reminder to use the chat feature for all of your question and answer. We will hold all questions to the end of the presentation, and then we will get to those questions as they come in. So with that, I'm really excited to introduce our very own Vincent Encomio, co-host of the Water Ambassador Program. Vincent is the Sea Grant Extension Agent in Martin and St. Lucie counties. As the Sea Grant Extension Agent, Dr. Encomio develops educational programming related to coastal habitat restoration and water quality. He works with local communities to help plan, design, and install living shorelines, a phrase that describes shoreline restoration techniques that use natural materials such as oysters, mangroves, marsh grasses, and seagrasses. It is not in his bio, but some of you may know that he has recently published a book about living shorelines. So ping him if you want a copy. It's hot off the press. Vincent has also been involved in stormwater education efforts, like today's presentation, to encourage residents to adopt estuary-friendly practices to reduce the impacts of stormwater runoff. So super excited to have Vincent kick off our 2026 webinar series. And Vincent, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. That's a great introduction. And Happy New Year, everybody. I don't think it's too late to say Happy New Year. And just to add a note about that, the book that I just published with my co-authors, there is still time to get a significant discount and on it. I think we have a 40% discount on it until January 31st. So still 11 days away. And probably at this point, the best way to get information about that is just email me. And if you don't already have it, I'll have my email in the, I think on the last slide of my presentation today. So can you see, is that showing up, Lisa?
It is. Yep.
Okay, great. Let me just get a little bit more ready. There we go. So as the title of my talk implies, estuary-friendly living, a lot of this is derived from a manual that we used to hand out in person The covers shown right there, Practical Guide, Estuary-Friendly Living. And we're really trying to encourage people through the Water Ambassador Program to adopt personal stewardship actions that can help improve water quality in our waterways, specifically our estuaries. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get started in that right now, but that's the cover right there. It's a very nice manual. We'll try to post that in the chat, the PDF of that. So bear with me. I might not be able to get that in there until I'm done, but I will put that in the chat at some point. Okay, great. So what we're talking about really is when we want to be estuary friendly living, live an estuary friendly lifestyle, is to take care and be aware of our watershed. And our watershed simply is defined as an area of land that collects and drains rainfall into a common body of water wherever that land surrounding that particular body of water. And that image that I show is I'll do that with kids every once in a while. We'll just crumple up a piece of paper. They can run a blue pencil or marker along some of those lines, and it really represents what a watershed could potentially look like. Uh, Another representation is shown here, showing that all the different things that we do on land, whether that's an urbanized environment, a rural, a farm, industry, all of those with the slope and elevation of the land surrounding that water body, that rain may fall into that water body, and that delineates the watershed. Of course, in Florida, we have a much more subtle watershed, I should say. You know, it's very flat in most places, but we do have enough um, topography in the state of Florida to where we have delineated about 29 major watersheds, and those are usually separated by hills and ridges. If you recall some of the sand ridges that might be around the state, those those could potentially divide different watersheds, and they're all shown there. I'm not going to ask everybody to name them. I certainly can't, but that's a nice little factoid if you want to. If you're at a cocktail party and you want to ask people a little question, if they know how many watersheds Florida has, we have 29. And one of the main ones that we're concerned about is right here along our coast in the Indian River Lagoon. So that the image on the right shows the Indian River Lagoon watershed boundaries. And of course, we are very concerned and very attuned to making sure the Indian River Lagoon has good water quality because it's extremely important. It's an estuary of national significance, widely known historically as the most biodiverse estuary in North America, and mainly because that 156-mile long body of water, narrow, shallow body of water, traverses the transition from temperate into subtropical latitudes. So there's a fair amount of variation, and that variation both on a temperature, climate gradient, as well as the different sub water bodies within the lagoon, uh, can lead to a very high biodiversity. So incredibly important. Another related to that, and especially here in Martin County that we're concerned about, is the St. Lucie Estuary watershed, and that was also on that list. Um, and as you can see here, as denoted by the way these subbasins within the St. Lucie estuary watershed are named, a lot of them are named after artificial conveyances, canals, C25, C24, C23, C44. And I like this image because it really denotes not only where the boundaries of the St. Lucie estuary watershed are, but the way they're named really does the subbasins are named really designates how much we've historically altered those what was historically a natural watershed and is now a lot of the water that might fall here, rain that might fall here, flows into this canal. So altered by us over the years. And just getting, I don't want to give away too much of this. This is old information, and our upcoming webinar is really going to talk more about the new updated economic benefit that the Indian River Lagoon provides to us in this really six county area, because part of it also goes into Palm Beach County. But most of this is this evaluation is focused on those five counties that you see there. Uh, $7.6 billion as of this report in completed in 2016. Just know that it is found to be significantly more than this old report. So we're really excited about that update. And also, this is a few studies. I know this is kind of a busy slide, but just to also know that it is recognized that improved water quality does have an economic impact. In these three studies that I show here, that economic impact is on our home sales. So it's like the most valuable asset that we have as individuals are our homes. And the first one, this is a more recent paper, and it was focused on more freshwater waterfronts, so lakes, that kind of thing. And nationwide study showing that small increases in water quality, improvements in water quality, say, and I showed to the right that disc. Many of you that know about monitoring water quality know that's a Secchi disc, and it's a very simple device that you use to measure water clarity. A 10% enhancement in Secchi discs coupled with a potential 10% decrease in chlorophyll A algal blooms, can translate to a $6 to $9 billion impact of market value on our homes nationwide. And that's what that table basically is showing right there. So we know, healthier waterways not only means that we get to enjoy them more, and it's good for our health as people, as well as the animals that utilize our estuaries and the lagoon, but also our where the rubber meets the road with our home values. And a similar study earlier, a couple studies that were done in 2013 and 2017, specifically looking at home values in the St. Lucie River, St. Lucie Estuary, and kind of aligning home values with locations where water quality was regularly monitored. And the general gist of it is that water quality improvement was associated with higher property values. And that map to the right is, as many of you can recognize, that is the St. Lucie River. And the water quality data that was generated for those studies was citizen science, volunteer-based water quality monitoring through the Florida Oceanographic Society. And if you want to learn more about the Florida Oceanographic Society, or FOS's Citizen Science Water Quality Monitoring Program, I've got a QR code there. They did a really nice webinar last year, providing some really great updates and improvements to the water quality monitoring program. But that's another example of volunteer data being used to evaluate something that is, our most important asset, economic asset. So we know that good water quality is important economically, and bad water quality has conversely negative economic impacts. So a study was done in Martin County back in 2021, looking at the impacts of, I believe, the 2016 and 2018 blue-green algae blooms. This photo was from 2018, I believe. You can link to that webinar too. We had Narissa Okoye from Martin County's Tourist Development Council give a nice presentation back in 2022. So a lot of information that we have in our past Water Ambassador webinars on our YouTube channel are still relevant for today. So I encourage you to check that out as well. And we, as I've already alluded to, a lot of those impacts are due to us. The things that we do, some of it is simply just population growth. There's just too many people. They always report 1,000 people a day are moving into Florida, and that leads to more usage of our landscape, more usage of our watershed, that can lead to increased nutrients, over uh, excess of nutrients that can get into our waterways through runoff, causing all kinds of issues like this algae bloom that you see here. Um, and then, of course, all the other things that we do within our watershed, whether it's litter, invasive species, uh, just simply removing habitat as a result of our activities. And then we have things that we really, at this point, are difficult for us to control, at least at an individual level, things like sea level rise and our changing climate. And just showing in the impact of all more people moving here is really what we're talking about with urbanization from a water quality standpoint is losing the ability of our land to absorb rainfall and keep it on within the watershed as much water as possible before it gets into our water bodies. Increased urbanization means simply just means more runoff and less pervious surface and more impervious surface. And also demonstrated in that is what we call that first flush. If you can see on your left, the increase in total suspended solids, meaning that that sedimentation siltation that's associated with stormwater really rapidly increases within the first hour of rainfall, and that's typically known as the first flush. So we all try to encourage people to be mindful of what they do, of what we all do within our watershed to limit the we're going to have that first flush, but we want to limit the amount of things that are harmful to our water quality that are associated with that first flush of stormwater into our stormwater conveyances that you can see on the right. And all of the we have all kinds of points, or really this is all non-point source uh, um, pollution, but we have distinct things on our landscapes that can enhance runoff into our waterways, whether it's from our roof, from our and then into our rain gutters, through the streets. And then I guess that runoff can pick up a lot of things that we don't want in our waterway, whether that's, and I'll get into it a little bit later with pet waste, uh, fertilizers that we may use on our landscapes, and other fluids dripping from our motor vehicles, all those kinds of things. So we really are trying to encourage through this idea of estuary friendly living is personal stewardship. What can we do as residents and people that visit here? What can we do to protect our estuaries and live in an estuary friendly manner? And just as importantly, be that ambassador, that water ambassador for your friends, your neighbors, new visitors that come into our area of how we can, all the different things that we can do to make sure that our water quality remains healthy and protected. And with the idea of personal stewardship, I just also want to emphasize that we are not unaware of the larger issues that may be out there that are maybe beyond the scope of one single individual. Okay, so I show this here just as a reminder. You know, there are things that we can all do as individuals, but what I hope is that whatever stewardship actions, whatever small actions that we can take as individuals, it really primes us, at least in our sense of values, and hopefully leads to greater collective action to deal with these sort of larger systemic watershed issues. And I hope with if you take a look at our YouTube channel and our Water Ambassador webinars, we point to that a lot of projects that the counties are doing that are great representations of large scale projects that can alleviate or have the potential to alleviate the larger watershed scale impacts on our water quality. So I just want to bring that up, that we are not unaware of that, and either alone isn't is either alone by itself. Uh, they're both important, So I just put a couple of these quotes up here just to show that, this is from a professor at Columbia University, that the individual responsibility, personal stewardship, and collective action, say advocacy for these larger watershed impacts, they're not mutually exclusive. So, they both, the smaller actions can lead, I think, to a snowball effect. So it was nice to kind of see these quotes to kind of reflect what we feel is important, and why individual and personal stewardship is important. I think it can lead to bigger things. Um, and but coming back to our home landscapes, and the things that we can do on our own as individuals is, firstly, with regards to stormwater, is do as many things as we can to minimize and prevent runoff from getting into our storm drains, basically from our streets into our storm drains. And that's increasing that pervious surface on our landscapes. An example I show here is a rain barrel. And then, of course, the vegetation around that particular home right there. And in these cases, you can see there's two rain barrels. And that's an example of people not only collecting that rainwater, but reusing it on their landscapes. And that's a great demonstration of one of the actions you can do under the Florida Friendly Landscaping program. If you want to learn more about rain barrels, we had a Lorna Bravo from Broward County give a nice presentation on their work using expanding rain barrel distribution throughout their county. And so you can scan that QR code to watch that webinar. But the Florida Friendly Landscaping Program, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, so to speak, because we have there's no way it can be covered in just this short presentation. But we have every county, every extension office has master gardener groups. If you can, I encourage you to get engaged with them. Through their training programs, you really go really deep into these 9 principles of Florida friendly landscaping. And although 7 and 9, for example, specifically address stormwater runoff, really all of the things that you see here, these 9 principles are developed to help improve water quality and reduce our impacts, our personal impacts on water quality. I'll go into a few of them in the next few slides. So efficient watering efficiently. I got this information, this slide from Yvette Goudiel, who's my colleague here in UF-IFAS Extension, Martin County. She works a lot with the Florida Friendly Landscaping Program and horticulture professionals, and landscape professionals. And this gives you an idea of how much water you can save by simply just changing how you do your irrigations. And the cost, especially if you look at it per square foot, this is the cost per 1,000 square feet, and most of our yards might be significantly smaller than that. So a very nominal economic investment to save lots of water. Again, another link to a fantastic webinar that Yvette did, not last year, the year before, in 2024, and there's the QR code and the link to that. Another program that we do in cooperation with the city of Stuart is their composting program. And this is another effort that really reflects that sort of water efficiently principle, because compost will help retain water within your landscaping, and also deal with significant amounts of food waste that you might have in your day-to-day consumption for all your meals. So the city of Stuart has been doing this for a few years now. If you attend one of these workshops, you get a free tumbling composter. And so I can attest to I've attended the workshop and I have one in my yard. I was actually able to get two. And so we regularly compost it in my household. They've got a couple workshops coming up. You can see there a week from today, actually, and then later on in the spring. So if you are interested in this, contact Ann Ellig, and her phone number is right there, and we can put that information later on in the chat as well. Um, but this is something that if you this is a really great thing that you can do as an individual to kind of retain water in your landscape, save water, and also deal with this with a significant amount source of waste, basically our food, our unconsumed food. And one of the other principles is protecting the waterfront. I share two examples here. Freshwater pond at an HOA, you see that it's nicely vegetated to protect water and slow down and absorb stormwater that would otherwise make its way into that water body. The example on the left is a freshwater pond. On the right, in our tidal areas and our brackish water waterfronts fronting the lagoon, this is an example of what we would call a buffered shoreline. So both of these employ native vegetation. Again, the first principle of Florida-friendly landscaping: right place, right plant, right place. All of these are native plants that are the appropriate plant for its location. So on the right, we have more brackish salt tolerant plants, native plants that are helping with trap and absorb and retain stormwater as it runs from land into our lagoon in our estuary. Uh, as as Lisa mentioned, I do a lot of work with living shorelines. Living shorelines is this is what you see here is probably is one component of that living shoreline. And if we were to do oyster reefs out in the water or something similar, nature-based breakwaters to help protect from erosion and protect those plantings, then we would be in it would be a true living shoreline. So we're doing in fact, this is actually here in Martin County. This is Conky Joe's. And we're excited that we're going to hopefully work with Conky Joe's again to continue work in the waterways. And this was a really nice project that not only was done by Conky Joe's and their contractors, but also with the support and partnership of Martin County Growth Management. So done a really nice project. And there's more living shoreline type projects that are occurring throughout the lagoon. So encourage you to get involved in that however you can. Another example of protecting the waterfront, this time at the community level. This is Ocean Breeze's bioswale, which is right along the Indian River Lagoon. And so they have a stormwater conveyance right here that you can see right there. And a lot of that water is at first absorbed to reduce the impacts of that first flush with native vegetation, cocoa plum you see here, mullygrass on the right. And so that instead of the water just rushing all the way into that stormwater drain, it is slowed down. Excess nutrients are utilized by those plants and to help improve water quality at that particular location. And the other thing I also want to, as far as preventing stuff from getting into our waterways, is, and I talk about this a lot when I'm at public outreach events, especially to kids, if they have a dog, it's really important to pick up after your pets. It's because 1 gram of dog waste contains over can potentially contain over 20 million bacteria, so over a billion per pound. And dog waste often contains other viruses or parasites that can affect other animals and even affect us. And they estimate about nearly 60% of dog owners do pick up after the pets, but the other 41% estimated do not. And I'll get the next slide. Will show you what that impact could potentially be. And other studies are showing that 95%, almost all of that fecal coliform bacteria that is associated with stormwater runoff is non-human. So running off our streets directly into the water, to our water bodies, remember that stormwater runoff is untreated. And if those 41% of dog owners don't pick up after their pets on a county by county basis, this is kind of what the potential impact could be. Over 100 tons, potentially over 100 tons of dog waste each day, potentially making that into the lagoon, over 200 trillion bacteria uh, per day, potentially. So I know it can be, it seems a little gross, but this is really a really important practice. If you own a dog, please pick up after your dog, because that that waste could potentially make its way into the lagoon. And I also wanted to highlight other Florida-friendly programs through that were developed through Florida Sea Grant. And again, links to those programs. Our Florida Friendly Angler program is a self-paced education program that teaches people about practices to be more sustainable when they're fishing and boating. So it's a great program that derived actually from a Florida Friendly fishing guide program. So anybody that's in the audience that's a fishing guide, look that up as well. You can get certified and be a certified Florida friendly fishing guide. And another related program is the Return 'em Right program, and that's really to protect reef fish from decompression or barotrauma when they're being reeled up to the surface. So, and then with that program is also an online education program. You could potentially receive descending devices that can help alleviate barotrauma in any reef fish that you catch. So these are great programs for both not only people, Florida residents, but also our visitors. And Sea Grants developed a Florida-friendly visitor program, and the whole idea is enhancing education of people that come to Florida. And we know that tourism is probably our number one industry in the state. And trying to reach all where they are at, like where they're staying at hotels, resorts, and educating them about the important natural resources that we have to be better stewards of our beaches and oceans, and be more sustainable. So all very much in line with being Florida friendly programs, Florida friendly landscaping, these programs that you see right here, to live an estuary friendly lifestyle. Oh, this was this was out of order, but this is some examples of ways to treat our pet waste. Of course, we should pick up after our pets. You can bury your pet waste. I think at least 6 inches deep is what recommended. Even if you're able to, just flush it down the toilet. And on the right there in the bottom is a pet waste composter. So moving from outside into the home, there's a number of things that we can do. Composting, for example, it kind of starts in the home. Of course, your composter setup would be outside the home, but if you are on septic, making sure that septic tank is maintained and inspected every 3 years is what's recommended for inspection. You can, as I mentioned, using water efficiently in the landscape can extend indoors as well, to help save water. And then also being aware of all the chemicals that you use within your home, to think at the sink, dispose of hazardous materials properly. And if you're not sure, call your county or city solid waste department, to find out how to dispose of something safely. And this is some information about the Think at the Sink program. And so we really want to make sure, this is related to medicines, is that when you are washing things down the sink, that could eventually, even though it goes through water treatment, it could also eventually make its way into our waterways. Okay. And the other thing, as far as personal stewardship, is just being aware of the our footprint as far as utilizing plastic. If we are finding plastics in the deepest part of the ocean, this is a study that was done a few years ago, looking at finding plastics in the Marianas Trench, which is crazy to think that we would find plastics in those areas that are essentially not accessible to very difficult to access for us. Um, and that really speaks to like how our individual footprint has a global impact. So there's different things that you can do to try as best as you can to live plastic free. It's very difficult, I can say from experience, personal experience, but there's always something that you can do to minimize that impact. Because we don't want to see this, So this is essentially, uh, you know, I think demonstrates pretty well how our personal footprint and impact does impact our oceans later down the line. And just another thing, example here, just on a community level, a nice case study. This HOA Loblolly, they recognize the need for personal stewardship within their community among their homeowners. And they developed a strategic plan and started implementing different changes in the way they do things in their community, even going to the point of putting filters on their shared laundry machines to help remove microplastics from that water, using more recyclable, reusable materials, increasing the number of recycling receptacles around their community, compostable food containers, energy efficient bulbs, uh, paper, bamboo straws, and of course, increasing the amount of pet waste stations available to their residents, even going paperless by utilizing more tablets in their meetings and daily operations. So this is an example at a community scale, how all these individual actions can lead to a greater impact. Because we don't need everybody to be doing all of these things perfectly. We just need more of you doing these things. And I think this quote really sums it up nicely with regards to all the different things we can do as individuals to be more estuary friendly. And with that, I just want to thank you for allowing me to kick off this first webinar for the year. I referred to several different webinars that we've done over the past few years that illustrate some of the ways to live an estuary-friendly lifestyle. But if you want to get to all of our webinars, feel free to scan this QR link. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Vincent. We do have questions in the chat, but before we do that, I'm going to launch our evaluation um, and going to suggest to those of you if you have any additional topics that you want covered to also throw them in the chat. As you can see from this year's webinar list, we do listen to you and we do try and satisfy those requests. So the first question is, can the presentation slide deck be available for download?
Um, yes, I'll need to convert it into PDF. Um, and yes, I can.
Okay.
Let me put I'm going to put that estuary friendly living manual in the chat there, and let me write my email again. I should probably reshare that last slide, right? Or
Yep.
okay, let me
And
do
then
that.
the next question is, I would like for HOAs in my area to plant vegetation along the edges of stormwater retention ponds. Is there any good presentations to address residents' objections due to fear of snakes and alligators? And yes, we actually had a water ambassador webinar. I'm gonna have to try and find the when of it. It was Dr. Paul Monahan. He's a social
Right.
scientist who focuses on sort of behaviors in water quality, and Michelle Atkinson, who is in Manatee County in Florida. And they did exactly that. They did sort of an assessment of stormwater pond plantings and what were people's concerns and perceptions about that. And yeah, so they did address exactly that. So Liz will try and get you the link to that webinar also, or you can search for it in our YouTube page.
Yep.
Um, Anthony asks, are you aware of any programs, initiatives, strategies that have effectively, measurably increased the rate of pet waste cleanup?
Um, not of, I'm not aware of any quantitative studies. I do have an anecdotal story. I have a good friend of mine who lives in Charleston, South Carolina, and he was involved in uh, quite involved in the one of the environmental groups there, the Surfrider Foundation, and they're found all over the country in most of our coastal areas. And there was one beach where they were having a lot of problems with fecal coliform and weren't quite sure what the uh, um, source was. And then they realized that it was a dog beach. So then they realized that that was the source of the issue. They installed dog waste stations, so bags for people to pick up after the pets, and it really made an impact on that particular beach.
And I was doing a little bit of quick searching. The Southwest Florida Water Management District actually requested a study, a community-based social marketing study on pet waste. And so that report is attached there. Please note, I have not read it. I have not vetted it, but it is from the Southwest Florida Water Management District. So I do trust it. Um, there were a lot of comments and some red flags about flushing dog poop down the toilet. So, bunch of folks say that shouldn't ever flush pet waste. So,
Okay, yeah, I that was something that we got that from actually from the South Florida Water Management District. One of our colleagues used to give this presentation, a more expanded version of what I showed, and flushing down the toilet is one of the things that they said was they recommend, was okay. I mean, as similar to our waste. You don't want to flush the bag if you're picking up after your pet and you picked it up with a bag and you tied it up and everything. You don't want to do that, because that will clog wastewater um, treatment facilities. So, but just the raw waste itself.
so, and then we had just a question mark comment, and I guess, and you said something about bird estuaries. I guess there was some confusion about that. I don't know if you know what that's in
Mm,
reference to. Todd, maybe you can provide a little bit more information about that specific question.
and I'm sorry if I was unclear with something I said related to that.
Jason asks if there are any studies that show the benefit of stormwater treatment runoff in neighborhoods next to the Indian River Lagoon.
Um, Not that I'm aware of. Maybe some of our colleagues that are on the call, if there's something that you know of specifically that relates to that. But I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Apologize. I'll try to look for something though. Thanks,
And
Jason.
and then we have a plug for another presentation tonight. at the Blake Library at 6:30. Krista's presentation.
Yep,
Thanks for
Dr.
that.
Krista McCoy, who's the lead scientist at the Florida Oceanographic Society.
Yep. So I think that's it for questions. I want to thank you, Vincent, for a fantastic presentation and a really wonderful overview of the last sort of 5 or 6 years of this webinar series. That was fun to see.
Yeah. I
Uh,
can't cover it all. There's deeper information there, but we still have it archived. It's still there. I even forgot to put one, the Paul Monahan's Michelle Atkinson study. Um, yeah, if you look through those different playlists, we have them separated by year, 2020 all the way to 2025. Uh, there, there's something for everyone at least with regards to stormwater.
And thank you all for joining us for another year of Water Ambassador webinars. We hope to see you in February. This is again about the ecosystem impacts of artificial turf, which we know will be really interesting. It's a hot topic right now. So thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Great to see everybody on the call. Thanks.